Hello, everyone. I'm going to give them a few seconds to stream in. I'm actually streaming from Palm Springs, so I'm in your time zone.
Oh, nice. How's the weather there?
It is hot, so hot, but it's dry hot. So like dry heat, which is a lot better than New York heat, which is humid and oppressive. So
yeah. I haven't been going to Palm Springs about a year or so.
I haven't been here in like 15 years, so so it's a whole new thing for me. Let me adjust some stuff as people start to come in. Let me do that. Cool. All right, so I'm going to make my beginning speech as people are rolling in. So, you know, I guess in our case, it's not really evening, so good late afternoon.
Yeah, right? Evening somewhere, right?
Yeah. Welcome, everyone. If you're tuning in for the first time, this is the La Maison de Rouge weekly Monday night broadcast. I'm your host, Lucy Sweetkill. I'm one half of the duo that is La Maison de Rouge. A little bit about who we are is LMDR is dedicated to expanding the BDSM experience by discussing, educating, and informing our audiences about the intersections of kink, wellness, sexuality, spirituality, and social activism. We aim to create a safe space for discussing these topics, as well as providing an avenue for our guests to share their stories and experiences. Thank you all again for joining us. Tonight, our guest is based in LA. She has been a pro-dom since 2015 and a fetish producer and adult performer since 2017, mainly for kink.com. Also, she's a certified level 3 Reiki practitioner. In her kink practice, she specializes in worship, sadistic tease, breath play, anal play, and corporal punishment. She incorporates healing modalities of breath work and energy to help synergize, balance, and harness one's own sexual energy. Please welcome, pronouns she and her, Domina Helena. Hello, Helena. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you so much.
So let's start off with just telling our audience a little bit more about yourself after that big introduction.
Sure. Oh my gosh, where do we start? So, yep, pro-dom, adult performer. You know, it's been really interesting to kind of have that combo go hand in hand. And then about the past, I would say almost year, I've been starting to get trained in a lot of different healing modalities that actually I sought out just for my own personal healing, and just realized like what an asset it would be within my own work, and started applying those.
Awesome. And we're definitely going to dig more into that, and I'll ask you more about that. But we always love, and our audience really loves this, your origin story. How did you get into BDSM, to be a pro-dom? Obviously, many of us don't just go like 6 years old, let me be a pro-dom, you know? So how did you get here?
Well, it wasn't my first stint in sex work. So I was actually, you know, a stripper for probably about 6 or so years. And then we had, you know, the economy crash of 2008. And it was just really hard during that time. And so I went into the corporate world, and I did that for about 4 years. I was a recruiter, headhunter. And, you know, I was just behind the desk all the time and kind of living that rat race. And I remember like calling my friend who I was like really close to when we danced together. And I was like, oh, you know what I miss? She was like stripping her. And I was like, yeah, I do. And it was just the creativity. It was you know, you get this, I mean, you know, every sex worker knows, like you get this connectedness with someone, and you get to take them, you know, on a journey. And, you know, that was kind of like my first stint of really noticing how you can get somebody into a trance state, and you can get them to really kind of connect with you. Is I learned that through dancing, because I didn't want to be groped. So, you know, I learned to kind of move them and manipulate them and kind of get them into like this really relaxed state and, enjoying that. And it was, it's the whole tease and denial aspect. So that taught me a lot. But anyhow, I was getting burned out in the corporate world and just was taking kink classes or BDSM classes for my personal life because we'd always kind of played with it, me and my partner at the time. And it just kind of kept developing. And I never really thought about it as a career.
Yeah.
And then I went through a layoff and I was like, I'm gonna try this and see how this works. And that was kind of, my evolution into it, and started off as in a house dungeon, I think, which you don't see many of those anymore.
You really don't.
You don't. It's kind of, I think everybody's starting off online these days. So I did that, and then I also kind of helped manage the phones there. So I really got the scope from understanding. It really kind of gave me a foundation. So I got to answer a lot of the emails, a lot of the calls coming in, interviewing them beforehand, and then, also preparing them for the sessions. And so it just gave me an overall view of, how everything kind of worked. And then I started seeing a lot of these, divine bitches, with dance scenes. And I was like, I don't know. I kind of want to try it. I was just kind of at the point. I was like, I don't know. I just want to try everything. And it was always still kind of like, taboo because it was like, Dom going into like, porn. And, but I was just like, I'm just going to own it. It is what it is. And, I really, I've enjoyed my journey through that. It's been really unique and it's been eye-opening. And I have to say, a lot of my best clients come from seeing that work. And they're actually the most respectful clients that I've had, which, people think, but I think you're just showing that vulnerability. So they kind of connect to that.
That's really awesome. Do you mind if I ask what house? How'd you?
Yeah, it was Den of Iniquity, which turned into DTLA Dominas. And then I left there, and then I've joined the Domme Collective. So, that's mainly the studio that I facilitate my work out of now.
Awesome. Well, and that's, I think what really helps around like learning about domination work is what you did actually as doing kind of the booking and the managing, because that's how I solidified a lot of stuff too, was I was pro-doming and then doing the managing actually gets you a better understanding of like the back and forth conversation piece of it.
It gives you those barriers, right? Because you can see all the steps. Because if you're just, diving in from, going from a house dom to going independent, and somebody's handling all that for you, you don't really, it can be a struggle to kind of get out of that. And I think from going from the recruiting, then also doing both, because even the recruiting helped me like negotiate and interview and things of that sort. So it kind of gave me that foundation to kind of, now you can sense, like you can read an email pretty fast and you can sense, what their intentions are. For the most part, and you're just like, okay, I know where this is going, or I know this person's here. Like you can tell if they're just nervous and they don't really understand, and then you can tell like, okay, this person's
BS.
Yeah.
you can feel the BS coming off the
right? Most definitely.
I bet the stripping also helped you become a good recruiter.
Yes. And I just was talking to someone about that. It's, you have to, it's basically sales, right?
Yeah.
So, and you have to get through the rejection, because you'll get a ton of rejection. You'll get more rejection than you'll get anything else, because it's either the timing isn't right for them. They just sat down. They're not in the mood yet. They're trying to de-stress from the day. Maybe they need a few more drinks. You don't know what, their timing of being comfortable is. So, and it teaches you to size up the room really fast. And then taking your time. Because I think when most doms start off and they start in the room, they like rush through everything so super fast.
Yeah.
dancing teaches you to kind of slow that down.
Yeah.
Because your whole idea with dancing is you want them to get another dance, and then you get another dance. So you're teasing them through it, and you're elongating that time, and you're building that connection.
Yeah.
So it definitely gave me a lot of foundations, especially
It's like the ultimate tease and deny. I think stripping is like,
absolutely.
the ultimate tease and deny.
Right.
Yeah.
Especially if you get them into a VIP room. They're just
then they're just like, oh.
I know.
It's like perfect, like, if you're into tease and deny as a man or whatever, or a woman, go to like strip clubs are really good for that too. I know a lot of doms who utilize going to strip club as like a beginning part of like a longer tease and deny session, which is really like
getting them worked up.
Yeah.
Especially if they see her get a dance. Oh.
Yeah. And then being like, time to go in the dungeon.
Now that we've experienced that.
Yeah.
So
how, you have a lot of, you have experience with different types of sex work. Mm-hmm. For you, like, do you see yourself going back to stripping or like bouncing around, or what, where are you at right now? And like, what are you really enjoying?
That's a good question. I don't see myself, doing stripping, because I just think that atmosphere's changed so much from when I did it. Yeah, it's a completely different, like, you used to walk into a room and you could literally point out, like, you would know that's going to be my customer. I'm going to get, you can almost have like that sixth sense. And it's like, now I feel like it's a not as taboo. And so it's a very, a lot of people go there to hang out. Right.
Yeah.
And to kind of view, because it's become so mainstream. So it's just a different, from what I've kind of seen, it's just a different format. But again, I haven't worked in that, for years. So, maybe it's just, you have to use a different skill set. I'm not exactly sure. I definitely see myself, staying in the BDSM aspect. However, I have been working with a tantric sex worker. Mm-hmm. And so I've kind of gone through like a level with her, and I've like sit in with her sessions, and she does like a lot of like sound healing, and she does a lot of like guided meditations with her orgasms, and then arcing it. And so it's just been a really unique thing. And I'm sure I kind of see myself as, maybe I'll do that on the side, or maybe I'll just pick and pull pieces from it, and then kind of develop a unique goddess worship. I'm not exactly sure yet. It's kind of just stuff I'm kind of pulling in as I kind of go along.
Yeah.
But I'm always open to learning different aspects of sex work, because I feel like with BDSM, it's such a creative, right? It's just like, it's this, it's like you take humiliation, and humiliation can just go on for eons and eons, like what all the capabilities of it. So it's the same within BDSM. And I just don't feel like limiting it to like, a quote unquote, this canister of what it should and, should not be.
Yeah.
So it's just like, I think you can just kind of get creative and take little aspects from these things and hone it in. I just like to get people really worked up and make them suffer. So I like that tease and getting that, sexual frustration. I think it's good for the soul, makes you feel alive.
Oh yeah, because it just like starts to like set off all the nerves and everything, and your body is just like much more aware than it would be in this like subdued state, right?
Yeah. Well, it's just like, you think about like when you flirt with someone, right? Like, or you're just like starting to date someone, and then, it's like, if you just take it in that aspect, just flirting with someone, just taking that, like, you feel alive again. You're just like, I'm excited about life. I'm excited. You can do that with a sadistic tease, and in that they can harness that within their real life, to where they feel like revved up and ready to go.
Yeah, I totally agree. So tell us about, you are a level 3 Reiki healer, Reiki practitioner.
Yeah.
You use the term light worker.
Mm-hmm.
And you incorporate these modalities into your current work.
Yeah.
So first, Explain what a light worker is for our audience.
Well, a lot of times light worker and the word healer are interchangeable. I just prefer the term light worker in a sense, even though sometimes I'll say healer or in that regard. But I think people get a perceived connotation when they hear the word healer. They're expecting somebody to heal them in a sense, which it might not necessarily be the case. You're basically given like the tools to do the work yourself. Tools to where you can open up and you can see the possible avenues of because we all have the capabilities to heal ourselves when we really think about it. It's the same as you go to a therapist. If you're dealing with an issue, they give you the tools and they give you the guidance of how you yourself are supposed to do the work. And that's what's really important in life is, we just got to learn to, even if it's like going to see a dominatrix, investing that work into yourself and learning how you can better apply those tools into your everyday life. And that you can just use it, for your overall wellness.
Yeah, I agree with that. Like the word healer it kind of disempowers people, right? Yes. Because then it's like somebody else has to heal you and you can't do it yourself.
Yeah.
While it's more like we're here to guide. Like I use the term guide a lot. Like I'm a Bdsm guide.
Yeah, journeyman. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Because it's like I'm here to guide you, but this is your journey that you really need to like take into play and process.
Absolutely.
So how do you incorporate Reiki into your work?
Well, I do like Reiki and breath work because I feel like breath work is such an important aspect. And I've been working with a breath work coach who just kind of, helps me on my journey and my programming and stuff like that. But when the person first comes in, we're dealing, the average person in life, right? We have all these apps and all these everything's so instant. And then we have all the pressures. I don't know if you can hear the sirens going off. Okay. All the pressures of, just work life and family life and, society's, expectations and so forth. And so our mind is in all these different places. And then we come to a session and we might be thinking about what's going to happen in a session. So we're 10 steps ahead sometimes.
Yeah.
So basically I just kind of take that moment to work with their energy, to get them into more of a theta state. So I get them into their deep breathing, almost like, basically it's like a meditative state. So I get them to calm down. So a lot of times I'll do a little bit of energy work. I will sit and hold space with them. And then I'll do kind of connected breathing with them. So where they'll feel my breath and there's kind of in a rhythm. And it's just to really kind of get them present and in the moment and get them to reconnect back to themselves.
Yeah.
Because that's just so important. If you don't reconnect back with yourself, then everything you're trying to release and shed of what's not serving you gets kind of lost along the way.
Yeah, I love that because, I think this is something that I know a lot of DOMs have talked about is subs will come in and they'll bring everything with them and they think that, oh, well, I'm having a session. It should all just fade away. And it's not. You have to like actively work on that. And the little rituals we have of you coming in, of maybe you taking a shower, of you kind of sitting, or bowing and just kind of being these like ritualistic steps is to sort of get you down to a place where like the world is not, especially if like, let's say you're pretty alpha at work and you're just like in charge of everything, you kind of have to like shed that stuff. And so like Reiki and breath work is a really great way of doing that. I think that's really amazing. And it sounds really cool. I want to know about this tantrics. Like
I think, how did it kind of come about?
Yeah, how did it come about, and like, what have you kind of learned already?
Well, it's so funny because I never thought I'd be going down all these different paths, but it's just kind of like, you open a Pandora's box and you're like, oh, I'm going to try that. And oh, I'm going to try that. So I started, and this is a little bit of a sidestep. I started seeing this one practitioner because I used to get Kambo, which is a frog medicine. And it's, it makes you vomit. Long story short, but you know, it's
a psychedelic, right?
Well, it's not a psychedelic.
No.
So it's basically it gets you to purge, and so you can do it's a lot of spiritual work and just also getting you to purge the toxins that are in your body.
Got it.
So it can. So you go through a whole thing of that, but she's a tantric worker as well, and we just kept talking, and then she's like, oh, I think you should try this, and I was like, yeah, I'm interested, and it's really neat because they have rituals within themselves, and it really she also goes through a period where the guy has to serve you, whether it's wine or water or things of that sort, but it goes through I think she's a little bit more traditional. I don't know how other tantric workers are, but she does like a whole sound bath. She does, a lot of guided meditations, and then she works with the orgasm itself and kind of basically unking it and hooking it back into yourself. So you're taking that energy and then you're bringing it back in. And so really with our sexual energy, I think we just need to learn how to harness it more.
Yeah.
And, how do you take that sexual energy and then expand that out into life? How do you use that to work on your projects and bring in that creativity and, but also get rid of just all that stuff that's been like bogging you down. Right. Yeah. So you're just utilizing that. But I mean, you do the same thing too within BDSM, like whether it's corporal or things like that. You're kind of just shedding that stuff that's down, that's not working for you. You're getting rid of all that mess. And then you're kind of livening yourself up because like now you've shed all that and you're bringing that up. So, you can even do that. Let's just say if somebody was going to come and you're making them eat it. If you think about it, if you're just almost taking, they have that energy in their
literally
bringing it back in. So it's just how we kind of think about it and how we kind of guide them to use that. But, once you kind of take that and you use it, it just allows them to, I don't know, bring that into the world.
I agree. Yeah, I've had so many subs where when they're dealing with problems, they're like, oh, Mistress Lucy has beat me so much harder. I can totally deal with this.
You're like, this is nothing.
Yeah. And so they'll be like, having a really bad day. And they're just like, oh, if I can get through the shit she's put me through, I could totally get through this project or whatever.
Yeah. But, it's just so important because just think of, even I have a masochistic side. So, I don't get it that often, but every once in a while I'll dive into that. And it's just so important because I'll bury everything. A lot of times I'll bury it. And so it allows me to kind of release that, it's important. It's vital that you scream. It's vital that you get that out. A lot of times people can't get that out until they're being, but it's just like, emotions get trapped, right? And what happens with emotions that get trapped, they eventually turn into stress and anxiety and then disease and, things of that sort. So it's, it's important that you get that out.
Yeah, I agree. And then the tantrics, I think BDSM is very good about this, that falls along that tantric line, which is it's not about the end goal, and it's really about savoring. It's about kind of being very present and not just waiting for the end, and also knowing that that's not always the best part either. And you have all these things I love long chastity and tease and deny plays that last days and weeks and stuff. And that just connects with you a lot more and connects with your senses and your sexuality and just moves away from the end game goal all the time, which I think a lot of people want results.
Yes.
Right.
Well, we're in that driven world, right?
Yeah.
And so it's like you said, it's about the journey. And sometimes when you have that journey, you find more of your strengths within that.
Yeah.
So if you're looking for an instant thing, you're not going to recognize it, right? Because it was so instant. But if you go through a journey and you've had to work through some shit and you're seeing oh, that's where my vulnerability lies, or oh, that's something I got to release.
Yeah.
If you can take that, you can harness it, and it can end up being like a strength for you. Or like you said, if you've handled so much in a session, something gets thrown at you at work, you're like, oh, it's nothing.
Yeah.
I got this. Because I've been through worse.
Yeah. This person is not tying something to my balls and making me like go through an obstacle course. Because I'm quite good.
No problem.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's the powerful thing about different lines of sex work.
Mm-hmm.
In all honesty, it's like there's so much intersection with wellness and spirituality and just communication and just so many things that are so like beautiful and growing. I find that I find that most sex workers who choose to be a sex worker in any capacity, stripper, porn star, whatever, they really just love what they do.
Yes.
Because it's not an easy choice, as it's not something that is easy to have as a conversation with most people. Our world is not, especially in the US, is not, it's not that nice to sex workers, as we know.
Right.
So like to kind of choose to be in it, it is something that is coming out of a place of connection and authenticity and passion, I really believe.
Yeah, absolutely.
If you choose to go down this path.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So you've been doing, you've been also an adult performer for kink.com mostly.
Yeah.
Do you find yourself wanting to do more videos and clips and adult performing?
Yeah, I mean, I think that'll always be, or I won't say the word always. That's an absolute. But I mean, for now, it'll still be an extension of my work, and I kind of think that leads into, it's also a break from me from just doing, one thing. That's great about, like, I think when I started kind of honing in different aspects, it was something, because, if you do just one thing, sometimes you yourself go through a burnout.
Yeah.
But it's, sometimes when you have the porn aspect, and you're doing like, boy girl scenes or girl girl scenes, and it's more like, sex and just instead of just like the femdom fetish stuff, it gives you a break, gives your mind a break, and it allows you to kind of also harness, different aspects of your sexuality and, your empowerment and just owning who you are, and, and having that kind of that freedom to kind of be all these things instead of just capturing yourself in one box. I mean, at least that's what it's been for me. Yeah. So it's just, it's kind of a nice to kind of build this like unique creative world, Yeah. And then I'm starting to see like, if, a few more doms kind of, kick in and do that and get their feet wet in it. And, some stay, some don't. But it's really cool because like, just, we're all sexual creatures, just own it, if that's the path that you want to go, go down. So it's been really unique to kind of see, from my viewpoint, just seeing some, other pro doms jump into that and, and try that out. I find that, to me, I find it very beautiful because it's very like liberating. It's not for everyone, but it's very liberating to get them out of that social thinking of what it could and could not be for them.
Definitely. So what would you say is a big misconception about adult performers that you want our audience to know as people who most probably watch adult films?
Oh my gosh. So funny now, I feel like I'm stumped like on this. I think that they, I mean, and I don't know if this is like going to be like the correct term, or that, that's that they're automatically going to do that with everyone, or that's it's just kind of like a bound, it's like, who do you want to play with and who do you get along with, and you're just lucky enough that I get to show you this aspect of my life, actually in my private life I'm pretty reserved. Mm-hmm. So despite being, I'm actually, and there's like some senses of me that I'm, really shy when it comes to like the flirt, I guess because it's all out there, Yeah. So like little things in my personal life, I just kind of like hone back, and I'm really reserved about that, which is something I'd like to work on more. But it's just, I don't know. I tend to work in extremes, so it's like one extreme to the next, you know. So some sides of me is like super shy in that regards, which I don't know why, but it is.
I think it's a balance, right?
Yeah.
Like you can't be one thing all the time. And, you know, I think sometimes if I find that a lot of people who are sort of exhibitionists, like you got to have that other part where you're like, you know, kind of reserved in different things.
Yeah. I guess like, you know, with every sex worker, whether it's a porn star or stuff like that, I guess it's just, you know, remembering that we're human at the end of the day and to not always expecting us to be on. I think and I think that's just generalized all through every sex worker is like, or every sex modality is, I think just the civilian world is always expects you to be on. And, you know, you have your bad days, you have your good days, you know, but you know, when you can be real with someone, I think, you know, you're getting their genuine self. But I think every modality, whether it's porn or not porn, it's just, that's what it's expected, you know.
The on,
which is exhausting.
It's so fascinating because I think about other industries and how I feel like, I guess the only other industry that I feel gets that put on them are like celebrities. Like you've got to be that role people know you as, or that person or the personality. Because I don't really feel like you see that. You don't like see a doctor like at dinner and you're like, oh, you're a doctor. Well, can you like tell me what's, you know, going on with me? I don't feel like that happens to other industries as much, right? While our industry, there is definitely people just like, you're the fantasy and you need to stay the fantasy, and we just expect you to be the fantasy and no other aspect of you.
Yes. Yeah. Absolutely.
Pretty often, which is always exhausting.
Yeah.
I want to kind of open it up to questions. So if you like, in your screen, we have like a comment section that you get to see, but I'm going to put up questions onto the screen so that, just because some people will ask random questions, I'd rather people ask more respectful. So our audience out there, if you have any questions for Helena, go ahead and ask them, and I'll put them up on the screen because I will see them and then she can answer them for you. But I do want to know what are some upcoming, I know it's COVID time. We're all sort of in this weird space.
Weird states, huh?
Yeah. So what have you been doing during this time that people could, you know, connect with you? Like, are you, like what's going on?
So I've partnered with the site, which is called Men Are Slaves, and I've been doing a lot of behind the camera work for them. So I still have clips that we're putting out that we've had backlogged. Working on just kind of my clip stores, which I have a bunch of clips. I just need to get them edited and updated. But, you know, life's been strange. And hopefully this fall, I'm going to reroute my website to kind of show a little bit more of my spiritual work and healing work. So my website will be redone, I'm thinking, this fall. And then I'm just going to be, you know, adding in, you know, depending on when classes can kind of open up. But I think I'll eventually probably get certified in some sort of trauma work and working with. Yeah, I mean, I don't know when that'll happen, but it's just kind of, it's been in the back of my head. It's just, you know, like, you know, people who have gone through, you know, either, so, you know, how do we kind of connect that? Because I think it's a good aspect for us to always kind of have in the back of our minds.
Definitely.
I ideally like to see, you know, I think as an evolution of sex work, I think you'll see more and more people who are going to be adding in different modalities of like either healing or therapeutic and then the sex work. So it's going to, I feel like that will evolve. At least that's what it's going to evolve for me, you know? But, you know, getting people to kind of, you know, like I said, get back connected with themselves, because you're dealing with everybody's, you know, we're dealing with shadow work all the time.
Yeah.
You know, and getting them to face that.
I totally agreed. Like, I find that most sex workers do, because we're interested in all these other aspects. We end up doing it. Like, I'm a certified coach. Dia is a yoga instructor, and I believe
nice.
has done Reiki as well. And so, like, there's all these things of like around helping and growing and self-growth that we all have. I do have a question, which I'm going to put on the screen, read it out loud. What differs for you between your in real life sessions and your on-set sessions?
On set, like filming sessions?
Yeah, I think that's what they're asking.
Yeah, I think with, obviously in real life, it's more specialized.
Yeah.
So, with any, Dom, you're going to go through your negotiation phase. What is your intention out of it? As where you're going to have a script. If you're dealing with onset, either are dealing with something that's a script, or, or it's a scene that they want to create because they haven't done a certain type of scene. So obviously in real life, it's more specialized and it's more catered to your things that you want to either work through, or that you have a certain like kink or fetish that you need to work out. So
yeah,
I think that's general for any that films.
Yeah, and all video clips, like I always say this to people, like porn is a really great place to get ideas, but it's not a place where you want to necessarily live out what is happening, because the boundaries are totally different. It is movie world.
Yeah,
exactly.
World.
Yeah.
You can stop it. You can, do it and be like, oh, okay, this is not working out how we thought. Let's try something else. As like you're working through somebody's unique abilities and, whatever they have on their mind or how their body is feeling that day. Because, as anybody knows, like, you could send in your email, like, I want to work on XYZ. Then when you get there, all of a sudden, you might not be feeling as well.
Yeah.
So you have to kind of change the format of your session.
Yeah. And those like professional adult performer subs are professional for a reason. Like the extreme things they can take, it's because it's like part of what they worked on and getting there, and like it's movie magic, people. Magic.
And then you're also stopping and you're readjusting things, and you're adjusting angles, and sometimes you have breaks, and it's just it's a whole thing.
Yeah, definitely. We have another question, which is, how has stripping informed your doming, and what are your favorite BDSM activities?
Oh gosh. Stripping, it taught me how to read the room really fast. It taught me how to capture my audience, because I want to capture one guy's attention, and I'm working with like hundreds of girls in there. So they're like a kid in the candy store. So just getting them to hone in, so getting them to connect more with me.
Yeah.
I think really helped when I went into Domme, because like you really need to make that connection, and you need to make that connection with your sub, because like there's this synergy that wraps around when you're in a BDSM session, and you want to get that synergy going. So I think stripping taught me that. It kind of gave me an understanding how to hone in on that when I got them one-on-one, and also again slowing down my time and really kind of just harnessing that within it. But your BDSM, I mean, I love like doing a sadistic tease, making them suffer, while I tease them. Because I always feel like, between that and breath work, when you start honing those things in, they take more pain, and then they want to take more pain for you, and then they're begging for it, which is always fun. And I love breath play a lot.
Oh yeah, when people get desperate, all of a sudden the things they won't do become on the table. I definitely believe that. I love getting people to that desperate state, because then I'm like, okay, now let's negotiate what you said what you weren't going to do. Of course, within reason, but I love getting people to like, oh, well, I think that would be fine. I totally can take that now. Like, oh, okay. I guess there was an expansion on like in real life session and on set session, but also any rituals getting in the mindset and cool downs? Like, what is the
Me?
difference in real life and on set? Like,
I mean, on set, you're not doing those rituals.
yeah,
They're just performers that are coming in. Everything's very calculated because like you have a certain time that everybody can be there on set. So you're not going through that. So
yeah.
that's really, the importance of like a real-time session is specialized to you and your needs. And, we can sit and talk for 15 minutes if you want to talk, for your session. It's like, what are you needing at that time as where a set is, we have X amount of time. We're either renting the studio or, people have the places to be and you're trying to, get through that and get a quality product out within a certain time frame. So it's just, like I said, it's just completely different. As in regards to cooldowns, I always try to take a few minutes to connect in with them, like a lot of times the same meaning, just taking a moment just to kind of connect with them. It could just be a hand on the shoulder. It could just be it really kind of just depends on the mood on how the session ended, because they don't both end the same, and you both are sometimes high as a kite from the excitement of it. So I think just taking a minute to connect in and seeing how they're feeling, and how they're processing it.
Like reading it, right? Because sometimes like you guys are just like, that was fucking awesome. And it really doesn't need to be a cool down because you're just like in that.
You're reeling.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So everything's different. It's just really dependent on the person. Some people need more of one thing. Some people don't need
anything
at all.
I'm going to take this as the last question. So some favorite things you enjoy doing when you step away for a mental break from kink, biking, hiking, etc., like as examples.
I found that I have a great spiritual community. That's been like a saving grace from like me being, burned out or anything of that sort. And they all know what I do. Like everybody, a lot of times they follow me on all my stuff. So that's been a great, kind of just outlet for me, which I think is just, we all need that. If you're in the sex industry, you need something that's just completely, they don't care what you do, it's just completely different. And then anytime I can get out in nature. So if it's like snowboarding or scuba diving or, just doing anything that's kind of like somewhat adrenaline junkie, I'm all for it.
Are you a diver?
Yeah.
Oh, I just got my diving certification in December and had all these diving trips planned because I had been wanting to, I'm a total water baby, and I'd been wanting to get my certification for a long time. And every time I was supposed to get it, I was sick. And so, like you just can't really do parts of it. And then this time around, I was like healthy, feeling good, went through the certification in the Philippines with my partner. And it was just like love.
I would bet it was amazing over there.
Oh my God. It's just like so peaceful.
And it's so, oh gosh. And being like, and you're like feeling like the way, and like there's something like the waves kind of rock you, and then you're how everything exists down there. You're just like, you're in awe the whole time.
And just like the peacefulness, because you can't like really fully like make noise and communicate in all that way. Just like, it feels like you're also in space.
Yes.
Yeah. Right.
I did a night dive once, and it literally felt like I was harnessed in space.
I want to do that, but I'm nervous about night dives.
You can literally only see like where we were, and like, so I've dove in obviously California, Hawaii, Thailand, and Seychelles. But so when I did it in Hawaii, and you're supposed to be an advanced diver, but I did that. They were like, you can go ahead and do it. But it's like you have a flashlight and you can literally only see like a couple feet. And so like you really had to keep an eye on your partner and until you got to like the bottom. So it literally was like, it's pitch black and you're just like, it's eerie, but it's really cool. And we went through kind of like these like kind of tunnel-ish caves kind of thing. It was wild, but I definitely recommend you diving in California because you have the
Yeah.
and it feels like you're in an enchanted forest.
Yeah.
It's one of the most unique places that you can probably dive.
Yeah, I want to. So I was supposed to be in the Grand Cayman during when COVID hit, and so I had to cancel my diving trip because they have some really great stuff, especially because they have a few wreckage.
Yeah.
I just it's one of it's like my new passion. It's I love it so much and I want to do it more. And so I was very upset with all of this happening because all the islands have shut down.
Yeah.
They're not letting people in. So just got to wait it out for a little bit. But
definitely I recommend Thailand too.
Yeah.
The coral was so alive. And they had these little, they called them Christmas tree. And you would take your hand and so they look like little Christmas trees, right? And they're yellow and purple and this blue and purple. And they're just tiny. And you take your hand like that and they go soup, soup, soup. And they just disappear. So it was really interactive. It was really, that was I've only seen that there. That was really cool.
Oh, that's awesome. So I have for our audience, I have Domina Helena's information on the bottom. So follow her on Instagram, Twitter, her website is there, which is going to be updated as well. Let me put this away. Is there any other announcements that you want to put out there?
I will probably be I took a break from OnlyFans. And so I'll probably be redoing that either this week or next week. I would say it'll be on my Twitter.
So definitely subscribe if you want to see her content. Do our last announcements, which is, for those of you who have never joined us before, we do this weekly live broadcast every week on Mondays, 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time when I'm there or when Dia's there. We also have just started a YouTube, which this will get posted onto YouTube afterwards. So for those of you who want to rewatch it, you can either rewatch it through our Periscope app or you can rewatch it on YouTube. And so feel free to subscribe. And then for those of you who want to support us, because we do these weekly broadcasts, they're a labor of love. And for those of you who want to join our Patreon to be a member to support us, please do so. There are a lot of really cool one-on-one gifts that we give with our membership. So Helena, I want to thank you again for joining us. I know we had to move a lot of things around as some stuff was a little crazy and has been adequate, So thank you for being super flexible. This was really amazing. I look forward to hopefully meeting you in person when things settle down, and if you make your way to New York, let us know.
Do every fall.
Yeah. So we'll see if that is still a good plan.
Yeah, I know, right?
Yeah. So thank you all again for joining us, and have a good night, everyone. Let me take this one moment. Move this.